Hello, I'm Carmen Henneman, and I am here again to share with you about a very important topic. But before to start, I would like to emphasize our discussions using some very important questions. For example, have you any time of your life thought about what is the most powerful name that exists in the whole universe? The name that is above all names is the one by which we can all be saved. The one name that, when mentioned, can even make the hell tremble and the demons run away from us. Have you thought about this before? Have you any conclusion about this kind of questions? Because this is our topic today, and I believe we have so much to learn together. So, from now, I am very sure you know already what we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about Yahweh, the powerful name of God. And Yahweh, as we all see together, as the most powerful, the most holy, the more excellent, and the more perfect name which we never saw before. Yahweh, the name of God. But to understand clearly and completely all the information, I would like to start from the beginning. So, Yahweh is just one way to pronounce his name, because there are different ways to pronounce the name of God. We can hear it as, for example, Jehovah, Yahvé, Javé, Yahweh, and other similar pronunciations. However, I prefer to pronounce Yahweh because, in my opinion, it is closest to the original pronunciation of his name. So, when I hear his name, it sounds like Yahweh. And then I decided to adopt this pronunciation. So, I call the name of God Yahweh. In fact, there is no problem if you or me decide to adopt a specific pronunciation, since it does not affect the original name, right? Because our specific pronunciation helps us to understand and also to keep our memory it lays the correct impression of the right pronunciation of his name. So, to begin with, we will see that according the Hebrew of the Old Testament, or according the Old Testament in Hebrew, God has only one name. It is very important to not forget from now during all this time of discussion. God has only one name. And this name is represented by the Hebrew tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton is one terminology we bring from the Greek of the New Testament, but in English I am sure it is tetragram, which is the same. So this word tetragrammaton in fact defines two different concepts. The first is here in the very first part, tetra. What is this? Tetra indicates exactly four. It means four. And the second part, grammaton, is literally little. So if you take these two concepts together, we'll read 4 letters, right? And this information match exactly with the number of the letters we have here in the transliteration. The transliteration happens when we represent the sound we can hear, or the way like we understand we represent by words. This is transliteration. From this point, transliteration is not a real translation, is not even interpretation, and also is not original. It's just a kind of transference from the original to the way as we can understand. It is transliteration. In fact, I don't think it is wrong, as I said before, to adopt a transliteration or one way how to pronounce his holy name. So the tetragrammaton is match according to the information with the number of the letters of the transliteration and also the number of the letters of the original name. Because here, reading from the right to the left, because this is the way as we read in Hebrew, from the right to the left, we read these letters here. Yod, He, Vav, and He. So, four important consonantes which are responsible to express the most powerful name we know in the whole universe, generation by generation and forever. Yahweh, the name of God. So, another thing is the name of God is repeated or is represented in the Bible more than 60,000 times just in the Bible. 60 times together in the Bible, including some modern editions of other languages like English, for example. So it's really the most powerful name, right? In the whole forever. So we see also from this point, Yahweh is translated in the English Bible as Lord, which is a very important name. And because this is the most used name in the Old Testament. It is logic because Yahweh comes from the Old Testament. Hebrew is the most used in the Old Testament. But now we have a very important part of our discussion. And here we have a very important question. Why the name of God was written just with four consonants? Why his name was written with only four consonants? There was an important reason for this. So before to answer this question, I just wanted to remind you, in Hebrew, or the Hebrew Bible was initially written with the Phoenician alphabet. And the Phoenician alphabet usually did not use vowels. So the Bible in Hebrew was written from the beginning using this alphabet, Phoenician alphabet, where only the consonants were used, not the vowels. And even this is common even in this present time, I mean today, as even the most modern texts are even now written using only consonants. If the people understand very well, there is no problem if the text has not vowels, it's just the consonant. So this is extra information, but come back to our question, why the name of God was written just with four consonants? Here we have two possible answers. The first is to make it not easy to be pronounced. So reorganize my sentence so that it will not be easy to be pronounced. Not easy. Why? Because if you think with your mind, we think the opposite. It has to be easy to pronounce the name of God. But this first possible answer says the opposite. To make it difficult and not easy to pronounce his holy name. Why? We'll see something. The name of God is completely holy, right? E pronounce it in vain constitute offense to God. As the third commandment says, here in Deuteronomy 5 and Exodus 20, we read this. this word. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, because the Lord will not take as an innocent who takes his name in vain. So this word for me is, for one side, is an advice, for the other is a kind of command. We need to put all our attention here to not offend our God. And one way to offend him is taking his name in vain. And God says at the end, he will not see as an innocent someone or the people who take his name in vain. So it is a very important and possible reason, and I believe it is one real reason why his name was written just with four consonants. It should not be easy to pronounce, because in fact it is not really easy to pronounce words without vowels. So the second possible reason is to differentiate from the name of Baal. Baal was a god, right? The Canaanite god. He was the preferred god from some people. Anyway, we don't believe in this God. We don't follow him, so we don't have a really problem in this topic. It is just to justify why the name of God was written just with four consonants. The second reason, to differentiate his name, Yahweh, from the name of this God, which at that time was really famous between his people. So from now, we'll see also the Greek of the New Testament also reveals the name of God. In Hebrew is Yahweh, as we saw at the beginning, and now in Greek is Ho Theos. Theos is literally God, and Ho in front is the, like specify, point an specific person, in this case God, the God, Ho Theos. Literally translated as God. But right now I want to explain you something very important according to the grammar. So we'll see in Greek, for example, the name Theos, which is literally God, is also considered as took as a title. It's not exactly a name. For example, as a title which any other person can use, can get. This name in other words can be given to another man, for example, another person, because it's just a title, right? For example, according to the grammar of the New Testament, this name even can be given to a woman. So the God, a feminine God, a female God. For example, how it happens, usually the grammar shows the same name Theos does not change. Now you're talking how to apply this name to a woman, right? A female God, which is not Theos God. Just this is a point of grammatical discussion. So the grammatical discussion in Greek says someone who is a female can get the same name of God. The name here, Theos, which is God, remains the same, but in front of the name God, we place this article, feminine singular, which is the, but referring to a woman because the article here is feminine. You see here in the top, who is masculine, and this he is feminine. And the result is literally he Theos, the God referring to a woman, right? We see this, for example, in a situation like this in Acts 19:37. So it is the Bible, right? So something here happened involving the situation when one woman was called God, and she used this, she was identified by this name. We see, for example, in Acts 19:37, in Ephesians, in Ephesus, there was a group of people where idolatry, they constructed idols to sell. It was like their profession because they constructed, they made this to sell and to get money from this kind of work. So they, in this city of Ephesus, the people were familiar with this kind of profession. Yeah, I'm sure so many of them had a specific God in their house. So the thing is, in the city, there was a very important God, which was a woman. So Diana, her name. And here in this text in 1937, we see one man who was one of the most important constructor or maker of idols. He didn't like the situation when Paul and the other ministries of the gospel came to the city to preach the word. During their messages, they say, like always, God is the only God of the whole universe. He is the only who can save, talking about our God. So in the middle of this situation, a man called Demetrius didn't like Paul's and his ministry's message. And what he did, he stood by himself. He talked to the people, to the crowd, trying to convince them that Paul and the other ministries were talking against his important God, which was the woman Diana, her name. And he, in the final, created a huge confusion in the city. When the situation was really horrible, a man from the city, a kind of official of the city, which is not known by name, stood to say these people, referring to Paul and the other evangelists, they are not sacrilegious people. They are not saying anything bad against our Diana God, right? They are just talk about their gods. Don't worry, it is not a problem. So in this text, this man which work for the city says this: nobody is talking against our God, referring to Diana. In Greek, them theon hemo. Them theon hemo. Literally, our female God, because of the article we have here in front. So, also in Greek, we have different cases or specific cases, how to express what we want according to the text or through the text. Here, the case we call accusative, because it's the case when we specify the person what we are talking about. In this case, it was Diana, the God, the woman, the female God, was very present or is very present here in this text, because the article in front is feminine and everything else following the same gender according to the grammar in Greek. So I want just to say God in the New Testament was just a kind of a title, even able to give it to someone else, like a woman, for example. Here in the other text, in the same chapter 19, but verse 27, we see the same reference to this female God, but with a quality even. Ten megales theas. We see theas here as the same theos, but as in feminine. Theos in the top is masculine, referring to us God. Here is theas, feminine. Megales is great, big, powerful, something like this. They were exalting this female God. The article in front is also feminine. So I mentioned this just for two reasons. One, this God was a woman, was a female God, but the same theos was applied to her, changing just the article in front of the word God to make sure it was a title and not a name. So in this case, I cannot say the name of Yahweh's God was Hotheos, because according to the grammar, it was also a title. According to the grammar only. I'm talking about grammar, which is not more important than the theology, right? The Bible is above, but the grammar talks about this. And the Bible have or shows or brings this example. Diana was their god, she was a female, and the same title, Theos, is applied to her and more than twice. I took just two, but you can check your other references and Acts, and it is there. So this is the first observation. The second you see in 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 5, we see something similar. But now the title Theos is not for a person or a woman like it happened in the hill in Acts 19. But now the title Theos is applied to a group of people, gods. So we see this text in English. So for our thoughts, there are also some who are called gods in plural, right? Whether in heaven or in earth, as there are many gods and many lords. So I am sure this reference does not talk about real gods or real lords, but just some people who think they are gods and they are lords. In Greek, we see the same text, 1 Corinthians 8, verse 5, which says, Kai gar eiper eisin legomesoi theoi, legomenoi theoi, eid en urano eite epiges. Hosper eisin theoi poloi kai kyrioi poloi. So more or less will be like this. Kai is and e also can be gar, because eiper, this is a kind of a possibility. In case someone, a thing is verb to be, someone is or some people are. Legomenoi called, they are called themselves, called theoi gods. If you see it is matching exactly with the translation, some part more, which the translation in English says. AP can be whether or true or above, expressions like this. We take whether from here in Urano, and it's in the heaven, 18 or AP is about gas in the earth. Huspe is a kind of expression of comparison in this way or as, 18, again the verb to be, are or are called themselves theoi, gods. You see theoi is in plural, in Greek theoi and is in oi because it's a plural, gods, poloi, several or many, as we see here, and poloi, many, kyrioi, lords, also in plural. So if you want to organize or reorganize the structure or the syntaxes of the Greek to be a little like English and the translation, we needed to look at the words in different parts because these are two different languages and the structure of the syntax is not the same. We know this. I can do, for example, but, because, in case, and then I can come here for the almost the end of the sentence. Many, referring to many people, come back to the beginning. Are, sim, are called legomenoi, theoi, gods, are called the gods, and the heaven or and the earth, em our place, right? As, ou assim, as, compare assim, are, here again, poloi, many, are, again the beginning, called, God, and kai, again poloi, many, again the beginning, are called Kyrios. And like this, we can look for the expression to match the translation like in English, but it's not easy in the moment like this because we have really to jump word by word because it is not in the same sequence of English. But the thing is, I want to say you or show you the same expression theos we have here at the beginning apply to us God is also applied for a woman, for example, in this case, or someone else, and also for a group of people. Theoi, he is he theos, the female God, he was theoi, for a group of people. A group of people. So, now from this I ask, or maybe you can ask, which is the difference, the real difference between to apply theos or hotheos to us, true God, and to someone else who decided to call themselves God. Which is the difference? In the difference, I say you is very real in this very little article, masculine singular, which is literally the, but referring to masculine. So, in this case, to refer to us God, we first place the article masculine singular after theos, and then we read ho theos, as we see here in the top. This is referring to God because this article here is, for me, not just a word, a grammatical word, but is also a symbol of reverence. When we see this, we know it is referring to us God. And we see one example, for example, in 1 Thessalonians 5:23. We read here, ho theos tes eirenes. Which kind of text is this? I know you are familiar with this verse, right? We read, for example, 1 Thessalonians 5:23. I remember to say, the very God of peace. Say, God of peace. Ho theos tes eirenes. The God of peace is the verse which say, the God of peace sanctify you wholly, and may your spirit, soul, and body be found holy and blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Talking about the coming of Jesus. When he come back, he wanted to find you completely holy in our spirit, soul, and body. The first part of the verse says, ho theos tes eirenes. Ho theos is literally our God. This is of eirenes, peace. God of peace is our God. And his name here is Hotheos, as I'm trying to explain here, the difference between to apply for a woman or for a group of people as the article masculine singular before this, the noun theos. As we see here in this text, 1 Thessalonians 5:23, which is also the Bible. In this point, we'll see literally as the God, as we see in 1 Thessalonians, and also in John 1:1, when we see the verse there, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So it's the same reference. The whole theos is there in John 1:1, and not as, like some people say, in undefined God, right? Because some people say it was a God, undefined. It is not true. It is ho theos, the God, and not a God. So it's very specific, it's very particular, yes, point to someone else very special, which or who is as God, and not a God can be any we can imagine. I hope I can help you to understand a little the difference, but in the final, according to the grammar, theos is just a title, which in the same Bible appears for a woman and also for a group of the people. Even in this present time, it happens again. But when talking about Theos, only God, we see always ho, which is the masculine singular article, which identify and point as true and only God of the universe as we know. So as we say already, God has just one name. I have here some texts that proves, that are evidence that God has just one name. For example, in John 17:6, we read this: I have manifested your name in singular, right, to men. In the next verse, same chapter, next verse 11, keep them in your name, again name in singular. The next verse of the same chapter in John, verse 12, I have kept them in your name, again singular. Now you go to the same chapter, verse 26, and I have made your name, again singular, known to them. After this, we jump to Acts 2:21, and everyone who calls on the name, again singular, of the Lord will be saved. You have to see Acts 15:14, Simon related how God first visited the Gentiles to take a people out of them for his name. So singular. So I know we have hundreds of references, Bible references, we can bring here, we analyze if God has just one name or we are imagining things. But these few verses shows us his name all in singular, and each one of these, and even John 17, Jesus was praying. It is his praise, part of his praise. He was also mentioned the name in singular, the name of God. And each one of these and others we can mention later. So God has just one name. So as I said in the beginning, in Greek of the New Testament, we read the name of God, which some people consider just a title, as Ho Theos. So I know Isaiah is from the Hebrew of the Old Testament, but I bring it here because the Old Testament was translated to Greek, right? In the document, the version is called Septuagint, right? I know you know this. A Hebrew text from the Septuagint is an ancient Greek translation of the Old Testament. In this point, I bring this verse there because as the Old Testament translated to Greek. In English, we read, I am the Lord, this is my name. Name again singular, right? And to another, I will not give my glory, nor my praise to the sculptures. God absolutely does not accept idolatry. So in Greek, we see the same verse of Isaiah, which was translated to Greek by the Septuagint. Ego Kyrios ho Theos. Το μου εστίν το όνομα, δεν δόξαν μου, ετέροδου σόdzo ουδέτας, αρετάς μου τος γλούτοis. So we'll take just the first part of the verse until here more or less, because as the part which has a very close relation with the name of God we are talking now. So in the beginning we see here ego. Ego is a very important pronoun in Greek because this is the pronoun which brings more emphasis than any other pronoun in Greek. So ego literally is myself and no other. So God wants to make us very sure we are understanding He is the one who is saying this. and no one else as him. So ego is myself and no other am the Lord, Kyrios, God or your God. So the part which is closest to the topic of now is to mu estin to onoma. To is a kind of pronoun, demonstrative pronoun. We see here in English this. Mu is my, estin is the verb to be, which is. To is the pronoun before onoma, which is name. So to is here because always before the name or the title or the important reference to aos God, we have the important article masculine singular in front. So literally, to mu extinto onoma. Este, mine, is the name. Organizing the syntaxes or the structure according to English, we have to jump against the words and say to, este, estin, is. Come back to mu, my, to onoma, name. This is my name. This is my name. As we see here, this is my name. And again, we see in singular, right? So I want you keep this reference because for two reasons. First is singular, and also even in the Old Testament Hebrew, the emphasis is the same. God just has one name from the Hebrew to the Greek, koine, popular and common of the New Testament. We see here some famous names or titles of God. I know you are very familiar with many of them, right? For example, Adonai, El Shaddai, Elohim, Eroi, Elio, Winner, Jeová Jireh, Dominant, Great Judge, Jeová Nissi, Eterno, Jeová Shalom, Jeová Mekadesh, Wonderful, Jeová Sabaoth, Jeová Shammah, Creator, Deliverer, Jeová Rapha, King, Legislator, Advisor, and much more names we can find in the Bible because God is the most famous, we know already. So now the question is, if God has just one name, what happened? What will happen with all these other names we see about him, right? Since Yahweh is his own name, what happens with all the more than 200 names? We have this information. More than 200. And honestly, I think it's even more than 200 names. They are what? If they are not names, what they are? And we have the conclusion. They are just titles of the name of God. But the titles is less than the name we'll see right now. So, more than 200 titles referring to him. Why? Because God had some very important reason. And the first time he showed is to reveal all the different aspects of his perfect character. How can I explain this? For example, we know God as a healer, right? Jeová Rapha in Hebrew, aos healer. Also, we say Jeová Shalom, aos peace. Jeová Jireh, aos provider. So, different powerful actions from the same person. God in all his perfection, all his perfect character, expressed as his complete care in special love through different aspects of his character. For this reason, I believe he has all these titles we call from now with no name anymore because he has just one name. Because, number one, he wants to reveal all his different aspects of his perfect character. So from this point, if we are sick, for example, we have illness, we can call him, we can come closer to him as our healer, Jehovah Rapha, from the Hebrew. If we are in agony, desperation, hallucination, however, we can call for Jehovah Shalom, God of peace. And from this point, we can believe in him, we can call him, we can submit our lives to his cares by or according each one of these aspects of his perfect character. It will work because no matter as the difference of the aspect of his character is the same God, the same we know already, the same who is with us all the time, even you cannot express how special is this situation, right? So the second reason, all these different titles, more than 200, he wants to express his distinct or different purposes for the humanity. His different purposes, reasons, expressions of love, care for humanity, because God loves everyone in this whole universe without exception, without discrimination, without indifference. And he wants everybody knows about his powerful love for everyone in particular. So all these different titles shows how much God cares about us in each singular area of your life. It's like health, provision, spiritual life, social life, family, and all these other areas which make our lives. It is a very important thing. From this point, we'll see if God has just one name in more than 200, and I believe he has more than 200 titles. So we need to divide these titles to not be so long video, right? And also because it's impossible to talk about so many powerful attributes or qualities of him in just 1 minute. So we have, or I divided all his titles in 2 different categories. The first I call simple names or simple titles, which are formed by a single name or a single title. Just one name, for example, like Adonai, for example, is just one name. But if I say Jehovah Shalom, 2 names together, this is not simple. So in this first category, I will mention all the simple names of God. In the second, compound names formed by 2 or more than 2 names, right? So now one thing, because the content here is too big, too heavy, I divided this video in 2 parts. And this video here is our first part. Next week, I will come with the second part. The first part will talk just about the first category of his titles, which are formed by simple or single names or single titles. The second part for next week will be the compound names or compound titles, which present 2 names together. Okay? So first category, which is for now, we'll start with the names which are just one and not 2 together. For example, the title Adonai, translated literally by Lord or my Lord. Adonai refers to the supremacy and greatness of God. So 2 powerful attributes, right? Supremacy and greatness of God. Nobody else in the world has supremacy or greatness like just him has. We find this reference about Adonai in Judges, Book of Judges 6:15. Also, Adonai is used over the 300 times just in the Pentateuch. Pentateuch, right? The first and second books of Moses in the very beginning of the Bible. So more than 300 times Adonai is there. Now one extra information. Between the second and third centuries before Jesus, the title Adonai began to be used in place to Yahweh. It's the same situation of the beginning, it's a kind of a protection. It was a kind of a substitution or replacement of the name by decision of the Jews, the culture of the Jews who considered Yahweh too holy to be pronounced by sinful men like us. So in this case, Adonai came by substitution, to substitute, to replace the name Yahweh, just to help us to not pronounce his name Yahweh in vain. So the name started to be changed by this new title, new pronunciation, Adonai. The second hill is the name Baha. Remember, you always read the Hebrew from the right to the left, right? So we read Baha. Baha is literally creator. We found Baha in Isaiah 40:28. And creator, he is so above all creation. This is the meaning of the word, or the title, right? Above all of the creator, that no one could do what he did. It is clear, it's absolute, we understand. Nobody, never, could make everything God made in the whole universe. It was impossible, just him. Now, why this kind of definition? Why? What exactly God created? We know already, he created the whole universe. Every single detail of shape, style, size, color, build, and everything else came incomplete from his so powerful and created mind. The complete universe, all its creativity came from his powerful and fabulous, wise mind, right? And creative and perfect ability to think, to imagine, and to make with a huge creativity. This is our God. He is our God. He was the creator from the beginning of the whole universe, everything what is in the universe. The second or the third title of God is Yasha. Yasha is literally liberator. We find this reference in Psalms 18:2. And also, this word, liberator, is understood as savior and rescue. Sound kind of a little different, but it has the same connection. And he is a liberator, savior, rescue in all kind of circumstances and all the time, right? God is absolute in this aspect of saving, rescuing, and helping, deliberating, healing, and all the time in all the circumstances. So probably liberator was the one of the favorite names of God used by David. Why? Because probably David confronted or faced so many enemies, and for so many times he had to call for God's help and to be delivered by him. So in this case, Yasha is also a powerful name. The other name of God is Shaphat. Always read from the right to the left. Shaphat, which is judge, is in Genesis 18:25 and Psalm 17:7. And here this text make it clear in his judgment there is no error, there is not mistake. How we can understand it? Because he is perfectly just, judge, right? And he is just in everything he does, everything he decides. He is very precise, very exact in his decrees, in his will, in his decision. He is the judge of the whole earth, as Genesis 18:25 says. So, Shaphat is someone in who we can believe completely. He is the perfect judge. The next from the first category is Melech. Read it always from the right to the left. Melech. This reference is in Psalms 47:2. And here this reference exalts this king, which is our powerful God, saying no king has more royal authority. No one is like him or more than him. No one has more sovereign than him. So he is absolutely aus melech, perfectly. The next hill is Hakak. Hakak is literally legislator or lawmaker. In Isaiah 33:22, and all his laws are based in his principles. Now, as a powerful legislator, God created all laws, and not the spiritual like we think, not just the laws like we see in the Bible, but he created, for example, the physical laws, material, animal, moral, rational, spiritual, inanimate, and even the abstract laws. And everything in his perfect design, structure, and mold. He also gave us the Ten Commandments, known as the law of Moses. We know this, right? The laws we see in the Ten Commandments are perfect. It covers absolutely every single area, aspect of our lives and the whole world. So the next title of God is Hayat. Hayat, always from the right to the left. Hayat is literally AM, emphasizes the AM or I exist. So God is alive, right? He is not dead. We know this. AM or I exist, referring to his eternal existence. It is confirmed in Exodus 3:14 and John 8:58. In this last reference in John 8:58, Jesus answered the Jews when someone asked him how you knew Abraham. And Jesus answered them with these words: before Abraham was, I am. This is the reference in John 8:58. So we know a really powerful God. So before any other thing exists, before any other thing appeared, God already was. He is our perfect Hayat. So the next here in this list is the title Shah. Again, from the right to the left, Shah, which is wonderful, in Isaiah 69. And this quality or this style expresses the wonders of his appearance, but also of his character. highlighting his excellence. So we don't have any doubt about this. God is perfect excellence. Now, what is excellence? Excellence is perfection, right? It's a complete perfection. Someone is not excellent anymore if this person has even a very little defect. For example, this little remote control I have here to help me with these slides. This control is very good, is very powerful, is perfect. But if in some moment the color, for example, started to disappear because of the contact of my finger, this control will not be excellent anymore, even if the machine continue to work very well, no problem to work, but the appearance is not the same. It is not excellent anymore. Or if the light we have here in the very front of the control started to blink, for example, start to die because of the battery, this control will not be excellent anymore, even if it is new, even if it has a high quality, even if it was very expensive. No matter, it will not be excellent because it has defects. But in this point, our God is very highlighted by his excellence. He is the most excellent God of the whole universe. For this reason, I am trying to lift his name all the time. He is the best. He is the most powerful God. He is the most excellent of all. And he is perfectly excellent. In him there is not defect, right? He is perfect forever. This is the first category. In the second category, I will bring in the next week with the compound names or compound titles. Don't forget. Now you go to the New Testament with his names. The first, he was Lord, as you know, and Lord came from the Greek Kyrios, which is literally Lord. So the Kyrios or Lord came from the Old Testament again. It was translated by the Septuagint, which is the ancient Greek translator of the Old Testament. Just information. So the name Kyrios or Lord is repeated more than 700 times just in the New Testament. It is a very important thing, right? As repeated more than 700 times just in the New Testament. Now we see the name Kyrios translated to Lord talks or expresses someone who has maximum power, absolute dominion, and royal authority. This is our God. Who else can have this kind of equality? And it denotes nobility and associated only with one who worthy of great honor. All these huge qualities here referring just to our God. No one can be like him, right? So no one has the same kind of equality like him. He is the most powerful of the whole universe. He is the one forever. So we also see here in Acts 2:20 kind of support for this declaration I make here in the beginning. In English, we read, it shall come to pass that everyone who calls on the name, again singular, right? The name of the Lord shall be saved. So in Greek, kai estai pas hos an epikalesetai to onoma Kyrio sotesetai. So this verse here is a little like this translation. I just wanted to make a quick observation about this word pulse. Here in English can be, where is the word, can be who, but refer to all, everyone, everybody together, not just one person. But more specifically, this word pus refers to someone who does not deserve to be saved, as we see here at the end. Pus refers to the sick, the broke, the perverse, the criminal, the bad person, the dirty, the immoral, the lost, the worst person. If someone is there with this kind of definition, it's not a beautiful definition, but it's someone who does not have any hope anymore, someone who is more than perverse. The Bible refers this word pus to this who is in this horrible situation. And say this, if someone who pus, someone who does not have any hope anymore, call, the call is here, right? Call for his name, for his help, will be saved. This kind of context show us how powerful is his name, because if someone very broke, very destroyed, very even decided to continue in this situation, can be saved. So it's not because the action, the person to go and look for help. No, it's because the power of the name. So the power of the name can change even the impossible person, can change even the impossible situation, can change even the impossible everything. We just need to call. Now, this call here in Greek is not just call like call by word, no, but it is a cry out. It implying beg. It is plead. It is mourn. It's express this cry from inside to outside, with pain, with the heaviest thing we have inside is more than call. It's because we can call by name, call even with sweetness, good manners. It's not like this. It's call from the very inside. It's call him begging, crying very deep from inside to outside. It's pleading. It's like showing yourself or myself through my simple words. When we cry, when we beg, when we plead like this, the result is to be saved. So the name of God is absolutely so powerful. For this reason, in the very beginning, I show you a verse which says, just for mention, the hell is tremble, shaken, and the demons run away, and the infirmity, the illness disappear, and the oppression is broke, and the shame disappear, because the name of God, his name is absolutely powerful. We can believe in him because he can do for us impossible things we even cannot imagine. So the New Testament even we find here Emmanuel. Emmanuel has the same pronunciation, similar pronunciation, connotation from the Hebrew. So Emmanuel is literally God with us. You know the concept, right? We can find this reference in Matthew 1:23, Isaiah 7:14. And here I like this definition. He is personal God. What is this personal God? Personal is someone who is not distant, who is not separated. God is in our side. The Bible says this. He is in our right side, supporting us by our right hand, even very specific. Also, God is in front of us, showing the direction, destroy our enemies, giving us the victory. Also, he is around us, as the Bible says, protecting, covering, leading us. Also, he is inside of us. So he is so personal. He is so close. And for this, his love is this kind of communion, to be close to us, to be closest most possible. So the next title we see here in the New Testament is Abba, right? Abba has connotation from the Aramaic and the Hebrew. So Aramaic and Hebrew. With the Aramaic connotation, the connotation is father or daddy. Aramaic. In Hebrew, it is written with this very simple expression here, which we can read as Av or Ab. If I translate, it will be A-V or A-B. So Ab and Av, which means father. In Aramaic, we write the word like this, which comes from Abba, because Abba, right? Into Abba from Aramaic, which emphasizes the father. So I want to see the difference, right? In Hebrew, emphasize father. Aramaic emphasizes the father. The same word, but two different definitions. It indicates a combination of the intimacy of the word daddy and the dignity of the word father. We see this in Mark 14:36. So, I think intimacy talks about this very close relationship between father and children, and his children. Even some children, even when they are adult already, they can continue to call their fathers daddy. Sorry, my throat is kind of it. But the dignity of a father talks about the position. To be a father is a huge responsibility. This talks about the authority, the position of a father. But the intimacy of a daddy talks about this very closest relationship, which is the relationship which God wants with us. He wants us always closest to him, depending of him in every single detail of our lives. God loves when we come to him asking for his advices, his directions, his answers. He loves when we come to him first before to make decisions. He loves when we come to him first before to climb a new step. He loves our dependency of him. It is intimacy in our relationship with God. It's just when we have this level of communion, because this is a level very close to him, we can call him daddy. Even we can feel as a daddy. We can see him as our daddy. It is what he wants. Not just to be our father, but also our daddy. So many people preach and teach saying God is a father very angry, very furious. He is impatient. He cannot tolerate. It is not true. Many fathers are like this. But before God wanted to be our daddy, patient, friendly, personal, someone who listens us and understands us, someone who listens our questions and also give us his answers. someone who feels very well in our company. God loves to walk together with us, even when we are not okay, even when we are not worthy to be in His presence. It is intimacy. And Abba Hill is a very important word because it talks about God's uh, paternity, about Him as our Father. Also, we see here the other title, the name of God in John 8:12, light of the world. From the Greek, ego eimi tophos to cosmo. So again, ego is the same emphatic pronoun I mentioned you before. Ego, he say, myself and no other are. This is verb to be, eimi, am, the light force to of cosmo world. I am the light of the world, light of the world. So we know this force, which is light of God, is enough to destroy our darkness, right? No matter is our darkness, how much, no matter deeper it is, no matter dark it is, God in His powerful light can break our darkness and make us free. He help us to jump to His light again. He can do this. The next is God of peace in Hebrews 13:20. Rode theos tes eirenes. So theos, God, tes of eirenes, peace. So we know this eirenes, this peace of God, is not like the peace the world give us. The Bible says this, my peace is not like the world peace or peace of the world. Because the peace of the world ends when the party ends too, right? When the good moment ends, everybody ends too. But the eirenes or the peace of God is remain, stay there when everything becomes dark around us. When we lose things, when everything becomes empty, our heart can't even keep this peace. And if this peace is defined like something can keep our heart very short, very firm, we will not come down, we will not break, we will not die, because the peace of God can keep us standing with lifting head, look ahead, and not losing our faith. The peace of God help us in this point. The next is great shepherd of sheep in Hebrews 3:20. Ton poimena ton probaton ton megan. So this is the great shepherd. We can read now again, the syntax is a little different. The translation to English started here at the end. The ton megas, the great. After this, jump to the beginning. To poimena, the shepherd, ton probaton of sheep. So it's in out of order. Talk about the translation in English is not out of order for Greek, but is for English. The thing is, he is our great poimena. Megan, great poimena. Great poimena is the great shepherd, right? Mega poimena is great shepherd. He is our great shepherd. We know we can come to him as his sheep, listen his voice, walking with him. If we do this, we never will have a problem again, because this shepherd never makes mistakes. We have also in John 6:35, bread of life. Ego eimi ho artos tes zoes. Ego, again, the emphatic pronoun. Myself and no other, eimi am. artos, or hoesde in this case, artos bread, tes of Zoe's life. So this comes in the same orders. Ego e mi ho artos tes de Zoe's. I am the bread of life. The same syntaxes. He is our bread. E numerous the intensity of aos hungry, aos needs, e however is the need, in your area or aspect of your lives, his bread can complete, can cover all our needs. We know this. So now I ask you, after knowing the efficacy of his name, of the name of God, my question is, in who really do we trust? After to know the authority, the power, the majesty of his perfect name, in who we are believing, in who we are trusting, in who we are waiting for, in who. So we have so many different situations, and some situations are harder than others. To who we go first, of who we depend really, or depend first, and who we really are trusting right now. I repeat, after to know the efficacy of his name, with all his power, majesty, authority, excellence, holiness, perfection, eternity, after to know all how wonderful is his name, how able it is to cover us in all single aspect of our lives. In who are you believing? In who are you trusting now? In who I am trusting now? In who we are looking? Who we are waiting for? Where is our dependency? Now, after to know all this wonderful description about the name of God. So Psalms 20, verse 7, give us a very perfect advice. The text says some trust in cars, others in horses. And then the advice, but we will trust in the name of the Lord, our God. So we can change these expressions in the beginning. Some people believe in cars, but also some people believe in their profession. Some people believe in their money, their position, their family. Some people believe in their things, right? The second part say, but this is a better option, is a better solution, perfect decision. We will, this is a promise, we will trust in the name, again singular, in the name of the Lord, our God. Why? Because he is so perfect, and everything he does is also perfect. When he promised, he always does what he promised. He never started something in our lives and forget it completely. No, it is not part of his character. He never promised something and have to forget to come back. No, he never. He never started to work in some aspect of his lives and forget to make sure completely what he started. Our God is so faithful. He is so royal. He is so perfect in everything. So, in who we are trusting now. The text says, we will trust in the name of in the Lord, in the name of our Lord, in our God, because it's much better. He is our better option. Even if you have other options on the other side, God is the better, because nobody can do what only he can do for us. So, brothers and sisters, I hope this word talk so deep to your heart like it talked with me. during this time. I had to ask myself the same question. And who I am trusting right now? If something does not work in my life, maybe it's because I'm not really trusting in the name of the Lord. If I don't have the answer about some things, maybe because I am not trusting and waiting in my God. Maybe I am a little like this first part, trusting cars and horses and profession and friends and families and money, all these things, right? And for this reason, because the confidence is not in the right person, like else God, then the answer is not the same. So we need God's help to understand it deeply and apply in our lives. So if you are with me right now, even now, thank you very much for your company. I love to be together with you and learn together about God's Word. Don't forget that the second part of this video will come next week with the compound names or compound titles of His name. And I am sure you yet learn so many new things together. Now, if you wanted to share this video with someone else, you'll be so nice to bless someone else too, right? And if you have questions, comment, please make your comment. I will be I will be glad to answer, to read and to answer as soon as possible. And for me, it's always a blessing to be with you, and I always learn together because God's word is so efficient, so excellent to reach us all at the same time. Thank you for being with me. Even now, I will see you in the next video. Okay? Bye-bye.